This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Thanks for hanging with us. We're kicking off the second hour of the programs. Welcome back into Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network. Sirius XM, channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, any of our local affiliates. Coming up in 30 minutes, Jeff Erickson of Rotowire is going to join us, talk through some NFL props for the weekend, as well as tonight, Thursday Night Football on deck. We're going to do a deep dive on the props here as well. But happy National Cheeseburger Day to all who celebrate. We in the commercial break have been going through all of the deals that you can get. There's some really good ones out there. That 50-cent double cheeseburger at McDonald's is pretty fire.
On the app, you got to specify.
It's probably packed there, but load up.
Do you think
can you only get one, or how many can you get? Is there a limit?
I don't know, like how you asked me, like I'm the authority on this.
I thought you might know.
I have no idea.
You know everything.
But I will say,
you tell me that all the time.
I will say, I don't know if this is as popular a thing as we think it is. I know that we're talking about it and it's online. But will it be that big of a deal that people understand that today is National Cheeseburger Day? I'm sure many a day a round of food has passed that we have not been aware of. You see what I'm saying? So it might not be that busy.
Potentially, but I will be one of the customers that is there. Tweet at us, by the way, at MeJVT, at Storm Buonantony, at VSiN Live, if you're going today and where.
Matt, I'm going to text Matt Human, see if he knows about this. I'm sure he has to know.
Burger King, if you're a member of their Royal Perks reward, you can get a free bacon cheeseburger with a purchase of at least $1. White Castle offering a BOGO for the Slideys. That's pretty good. I'm so
disappointed in
Might make you sick, but tastes delicious. So there's that.
For those who don't know, and none of you do, Stormy tested that line out on the audience here in the studio, got a positive reaction, and then
I don't know why you have to go behind the curtain when it already hit.
It was so sad.
Red Robin, I made this comment as well, though. How much do their burgers usually cost that the discount is $9.99?
Yeah, I know.
It's a little ridiculous, in my opinion.
Real quick, because I brought this up the other day, but I feel like I should note that I found out when the WNBA will be announcing its awards.
And?
So on Sunday, I will know whether or not Nafisa Collier has won MVP.
How are you feeling?
I mean, I feel nothing in that.
You think Asia made enough of a push down the stretch?
The thing. The problem is the media members I talk to around the WNBA, guess who they cover?
The Aces. So of course, they're very biased.
Yes, so of course, everybody's like, I think she's going to take it. So I don't know. So we will see if Nafisa Collier in the 50-40-90 season is part of the great the season that the Minnesota Lynx have had. By the way, big rally from last night, got the win over the Valkyries, sent the Coach of the Year packing. If that's enough, or if Asia Wilson and the 16-game winning streak and being extremely dominant down the stretch is enough too. But I still think that I'm the small favorite.
Okay, let's get into some Thursday night football. We've got the Buffalo Bills hosting Miami coming up today. We talked a little bit already about it from a side and total perspective. I want to dig deeper here into the prop market because there's so many options on these standalone games. Let's start from a passing perspective. Tua and Josh Allen. Tua Tagovailoa's pass yards prop set at 238.5. Josh 235.5. Passing touchdowns for both over or under 1.5 scores. Although for Josh Allen, it's minus 153 for Tua. You're getting a plus 123 price there. And for the picks, the juice is reversed. For Tua to throw an interception, minus 155. Josh Allen, plus 130. Do you think that we should be targeting anything Tua specifically here? Just thinking about the Dolphins being in a negative game script as we expect, having to throw the ball around a little bit. We're getting a slight discount on this number as well. Was sitting around 250 week one, 240.5 last week. Found his footing last week in a back and forth game. What do you think?
Thin defense, too, that's a little beat up. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seems a little too low-hanging fruit to rattle off everything you talked about and maybe not even just passing yards, because you see these teams all the time trailing, but quarterbacks don't necessarily get the passing yards because guess what? They're trailing for a reason. They might stink.
Sure.
Pass attempts might be a way to look at looking at it from that perspective again.
Attempts 34.5, completions 23.5.
Yeah, so because I feel like personally attempts I'm more comfortable with because I don't need another action. Like in other words, for completions, I need a guy to catch the ball. For yards, I need a guy to catch the ball. For attempts, I just need you to sit back and throw the ball, and that counts for me. And in a game in which you're trailing, if we expect that to be the case, then that's probably going to be one we can get. So I think that's probably the way to attack it. Again, it feels like the easy way to look at it. But that seems like this is how this is going to play out if we believe the market's accurate, and then this is going to be a pretty lopsided game.
I didn't end up firing on anything with him, but I wouldn't hate anybody for taking that approach specifically with Tua. I did end up firing on a couple running back receiving props, however.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on because we did this last time with Deebo Samuel. Same player, similar mindset. So maybe we're spending too much time together and our thoughts are becoming very similar.
Because we didn't talk about any of these.
Not at all. I have Achane over receptions.
Okay. I did receiving yards.
Yeah. So thought process is?
Well, there's a handful of things here. First and foremost, the defense, as we mentioned, is going to be lacking a little bit. They're not full strength. I also looked at the numbers against the Bills last year in 2 games. At home, 7 catches on 7 targets for 69 and a touchdown. In Orchard Park, 8 catches on 8 targets for 58 and a touchdown. Had double-digit targets in the receiving game last week for 92 yards. Scored a receiving touchdown in both games to start the season as well. I just felt like this was a little bit of a short number. The receptions makes a ton of sense at 5.5, but 42.5 the receiving yards. I feel like he should get there.
I'll add to the case here. Matt Milano, the guy who is more than likely going to take up the snaps and covering him out of the backfield, not going to play. Yeah. So you're playing against the backup there. He is their leader in targets so far this year.
Yes.
So that's going to be something, too, where he's already gotten a very big workload. You have a guy in the middle that's not going to be there. You also are, more than likely, as we discussed, going to be trailing. If you're trailing and if you're taking on a defense that's just dropping guys back and not giving up the big play, who's available all the time to you, it's your check down, it's your running back.
What does Tua love to do?
Yep.
Little dink and dunk.
So I'm with you. Like, I didn't want to go yards because, we've seen, does he get wrapped up?
I think one of us will win a bet today. I don't know who, but one of us.
Yeah, does he get wrapped up? Does he not really get the explosive, or does he not get the yardage, but he gets like a high volume of receptions? Does he get like 6 or 7 catches for only 25 yards? I'm not entirely sure, but I felt more comfortable, similar to what we talked about the attempts. I feel comfortable in knowing he's going to get the targets today, and I'd rather bank on him catching those than having to also add yards after that.
So I did the yards on Achane. I also did the yards on James Cook over 12.5. And there are still 12.5s available, but this number is going up, mind you. Looking at Miami the first 2 weeks against pass-catching running backs, they've done damage. Ramondre Stevenson, obviously, last week, 5 catches, 88 yards. Travion Henderson, also 3 catches for 30. Jonathan Taylor, week 1, 3 catches for 27. It's a weakness, one that I could see Joe Brady trying to script things up to exploit. Cook only had 1 catch last week for 3 yards, but the Bills' game plan last week, we talked about it, was on the ground. They weren't throwing the ball around. I think that could change this week. Cook against the Ravens week 1, 5 catches for 58. Also went back to look at previous performances against Miami. Last year went for 17 on the road, 25 at home. Year before that, 16 on the road, 48 at home. Gone over his number now, like I said, the last 4 times against the Dolphins. So let's roll. I didn't want to do receptions over 1.5. Juice too much, minus 175, but the 12.5 yards that's going up at a minus 110. Let's go.
Okay. I couldn't find anything defensively. There's sack props.
Yeah, I was looking forward to your tackle props.
Yeah, so I will say I do have something to discuss because one shop, Hard Rock, actually does have tackle props up. It's the only one on the board. Obviously, we don't have Hard Rock out here, but just thought it was worth mentioning because we've discussed these, especially for these primetime games. Tyrell Dodson is going to get the start for the Miami Dolphins at middle linebacker. 8.5 tackles and assists was the number that was up at Hard Rock. I haven't checked. I'm going to pull this up now to see where it's at right now. But if you look at the first 2 games, 132 of 133 defensive snaps. He's been on the field. So, again, it's kind of what I've been looking for. Guys, we're going to be out there and play a vast majority of these snaps. That has been the case for Dodson so far up to this point this season. 19 tackles, 4 assists. So, on average, through 2 games, just cut those in half. That puts you right in line to go over this thing. Again, not the one of the caveats we should throw out there, he's not the best tackler. If you look at tackle miss rate, it's over 14%. It's relatively high, so you don't really like that. But if you look at this, Miami, as we're talking about, we always talk about the game script for Miami in terms of what it's going to look like offensively. But for this defense, if you are going to be trailing, then that means you're going to get a heavy dose of the run game for Buffalo as the game goes along. So more opportunities for you as a guy who's going to be out there nearly every single snap to get some of those tackles if that's going to be the case. Case in point, Allen, for the passing game for the Buffalo Bills, I think I mentioned this at the start of the show, 16 of his attempts in the first half against the New York Jets last week, 8 in the second half. Okay. So very much cut into what he was doing through the air because he didn't have to. All of that puts together, if 8.5 was available for me, I think that sounds like a fair number, but nothing out here, and that was the number that was available over at Hard Rock. But I think with all of the injury question marks across the board both for Miami and for Buffalo, it seemed like there was not a desire by a lot of these shops to put these up.
I wanted to hit one more individual player to get your thoughts on it real quickly. We've talked a lot about Miami's secondary issues. They also haven't been great in general against tight ends to start the year. Dalton Kincaid, his prop 32.5, the receptions number 3.5 over at even money. He's been targeted 4+ times both games, had 4 catches each game for over this number. And especially in a game script last week where Josh Allen wasn't throwing the ball around a lot, for him still to have 4 catches and 37 yards, do you think that could be a place or a player to look at again tonight as well?
I think it makes sense. At least everything you're looking at here. And again, if you're doing anything to target specifically this Miami defense, I'm going to be down with it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of issues.
I didn't fire on anything Kincaid, but I really thought hard about it. Same thing, even just from a touchdown perspective. Maybe at the end of the hour when we do our who's going to score the first touchdown, maybe I pull the trigger and just throw Dalton Kincaid in there.
Did we do? Nobody got that last week, right?
No, we were big lahoo-zahers on that last week. But 14-1 on Kincaid, plus 280 for an anytime.
Good thing is big plus prices.
Yeah.
Just hit one. Come on.
Oh, also, I will say, because I gave all those Achane touchdown numbers, you're getting plus 110 on him for an anytime touchdown if he does continue to do that. If Miami is able to, if we live in a world where Miami is able to do anything today, they're scoring some points. Who's going to be a big part of that? I think it's Devon Achane.
Yeah, you can do that. If you really feel comfortable about the angle for him out of the backfield, ladder reception prop too if you want, or ladder those receptions, excuse me.
Thursday Night Football, by the way, calls for sharper odds, and Bracco always delivers NFL spreads every Thursday. Minus 103, beating the industry standard, giving you better long-term ROI. On top of that, you can cash in on 50% for the welcome bonus, monthly rewards, and Sunday free bet promos with the code VSIN at Bracco. Reduced juice and rich rewards combined to give you the edge. Check them out at playbracco.com today. That's playbracco.com, promo code VSIN. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Shout out Margaret. We got another winner of the Average Joe contest like we do every week. This week, Margaret Arana getting some props, and it was a tough week at the top. 10 contestants with a perfect 7-0. Remember, though, tiebreakers come down to your best bet of the week, followed by the best NFL record that week. The contest is free to enter. You can enter any time, and every week you can win cash prizes plus quarterly prizes, which now includes a trip right here to Viva Las Vegas. Come hang with us at Circa Resort and Casino. You get a Circa stay, maybe even a guest appearance on a VSiN show. Enter anytime this season at vsin.com/Joe. That's VSIN.com/Joe. And from Joe to Paul, I agree with you. Yes, it's 50-cent double cheeseburger day at McDonald's only in the app. But JVT, you said that, right? I thought we said that.
Oh, don't put that evil on me.
Didn't you say that?
Don't put that
I thought
evil
you said.
on me.
Am I wrong?
I never said that.
You're
such
a liar. Yes, Totally agree, Paul. Yes, it is only on the app for McDonald's, so keep that in mind. Eric Myers chiming in as well. Buffalo Wild Wings is also doing a buy one, get one free burger today with the Rewards app. The barbecue bacon burger is great, he says, like a giant version of the Carl's Jr. Western burger. 10 out of 10. You're a big Burger King guy, though. I learned that today. I wasn't aware.
I don't know if I'm a big Burger King guy. I would fight back on that accusation, but I have come around more to appreciate it.
When we were talking about other places, you were like, oh, man, the Burger King. What are you talking about?
That's not what I said. I said the Burger King double cheeseburger is underrated. That implies that I think it is a fine burger that is just not get its due at all.
That also means you were higher on them than
because you guys didn't bring it up at all.
Nobody brought up a Wendy's burger either, which I would say is pretty underrated.
Have you found any specials?
I haven't.
I'll tell you this right now. If you're telling me there's a special on a double stack, that's where I'm going.
Like I said, I'm going to In-N-Out. They don't have any deals, but that's on my to-do list after I get off of work today. Keep chiming in. Tweet at us, at MeJVT, at Storm Buonantony, at VSiN Live. We love the conversation. Also, if you agree or disagree with some of our thoughts on these games, we're going to continue cruising through the Week 3 NFL slate here. We've talked a lot of Thursday Night Football. We will again in 15 minutes with Jeff Erickson of Rotowire. Also get some of his prop thoughts beyond tonight as we look ahead to the weekend. Best bets at the end of the hour. But let's kick things off here with this Cowboys and Bears game, because I don't think we've talked about it a lot. And when we were going through our decision-making process for Circa Millions, we locked in our 4. We had one more that was questionable. You told me that I needed to make a decision. I really like the Cowboys against the Bears in a pick'em game. How do you have that smirk on your face? So I feel like you're not as confident. And I already know that you kind of like the Bears in this spot, but you couldn't get there ultimately. Why?
No, there's no smirk. I mean, I'm laughing at what I think this game could be in terms of, I think
a bleep show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be almost a carbon copy of what we're seeing, or what we saw, I should say, last week between the Cowboys and the Giants. Look, this is representative of what this game is. The total is about 51. The spread is essentially a pick. Good luck. Right? I think that's really what it is. Pick your side and then just watch what is about to transpire. Should probably be a very fun game, but I think this is representative of where I'm at, which is, all right, two teams that are close to equals with another. I think you give the Dallas Cowboys the slight nod in terms of power rating, because if they were true equals to one another, they should probably be Chicago -1.5, as we have discussed many times with home field. So seems like a fair number. Also seems like the Cowboys are a really bad defensive team, and would I be shocked that Ben Johnson finally gets an offense together, and a team that is currently ranked 31st by EPA standards is going to go out there and cough it up and lose and, give up like 28 in the process or 30 in the process to Chicago? I wouldn't be shocked, but it's not a game in which I feel strong about one way or the other.
I think that's why this total has moved up. People, largely myself included, expecting a little bit of a shootout here, to defenses that haven't exactly looked awesome to this point. I do wonder, though, if the Dallas Cowboys can blanket Rome Odunze, if the Bears can find a way to scheme up something else, because you look at the connection that he and Caleb Williams have had. All three of his touchdown passes through the first 2 weeks are to Odunze. First 2 games, Williams is averaging over 3 yards per attempt more when targeting him versus the rest of the pass catchers. If they can do something specifically to put the clamp down on Rome, how much more difficult does that make life elsewhere? And for a Cowboys defense that isn't great, maybe that's the priority.
I don't know if I put blanket and Cowboys defense in the same sentence with
Fair.
one another, unless you put they cannot blanket another receiver. No, I think it makes sense.
But,
look,
I mean, sorry, to go back just to the Cowboys, like, offensively, we know they can produce. So if this is who outscores who, I have more faith in the Cowboys.
Sure. I mean, I think that's dictated to what I was going to say is it's along those lines, which is at the end of the day, in a game between two bad defenses with a high total and a pick, you get the better quarterback in Dak Prescott.
Yes. Let's go to Monday night. Monday night. Lions at Ravens, 8:15 Eastern on ABC and ESPN. Ravens laying, are we at 4.5?
4.5, yep.
Yeah, 4.5 here. What do you think?
A couple of 5s popping up, so we'll see if it really gets to that point, even though, again, 5-ish, whatever.
Another high total, 253.5.
So that's what I feel strongly about, which is I missed out on it. It opened 51.5. I think we get the same thing that we got on Sunday night to open the season between Buffalo and Baltimore. When you get two teams that are, we'll call them heavyweights, elite teams in the NFL, you generally do get some of these higher scoring games. They're elite playmakers on both ends. You have two offenses that are set to go, and a rule set, as we know in the NFL, that is geared toward offense. I think you're going to get a pretty high scoring game here between these two. Now, the volatility there, if we're right, and I think this would be a smart way to do it, it's not exactly Sunday night in terms of, hey, it's a 1-point spread with a total of 51, 52, just bet it in game. But this could be a similar situation where if it's as volatile as it looks with this total, there's probably going to be an opportunity to get a better number on Baltimore once the game begins, if we expect this to be high scoring as the market does, because I'm going to assume that it's not just going to be a one-way blowout 47-5, right?
Correct.
In favor of the Baltimore Ravens. There's probably going to be some back and forth, which would lead me to believe that at some point, if I like Baltimore, I'm probably going to be able to get maybe even a plus price on them once the game begins. And on the flip side, I'll probably be able to get maybe close to a touchdown with the Detroit Lions once the game begins, especially if Baltimore strikes early.
And tying into the totals for both this game and the one we just talked about in the Cowboys and Bears, we've only had 2 games so far this season that have closed with a total over 50. Both of them have gone over, one of which being that Ravens-Bills game from week 1, where, yes, we saw the Ravens score a lot, but that defense also let the Bills do a lot of damage, especially late in the game. So keep that in mind as you go. How about, one game we haven't really talked about at all, I would say, this week, with the exception of just in millions crossing them off of the list, is the Texans and Jags. And Jacksonville at home laying 1.5 against a Houston team that I think is fair to say is largely disappointed. For as good as their defense is, that offensive line is a problem. Total 43.5.
Yeah, so it's all right. Which one do you pick here? Do you pick the team that has potential but shot themselves in the foot last week and lost a game that they shouldn't have in the Jacksonville Jaguars, or do you pick this Houston Texans team that has a very bad offensive line, an offense that's extremely below average as a result of that offensive line, and coming off of short rest because they just played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night?
Losing a heartbreaker, too. They pull ahead at the end of the game.
Yep, and then nothing. Then you lose it, you blow it to Baker Mayfield. I would say, and I think we're probably going to head in this direction, under seems like a fair play here. We saw some 44s, and they're still pretty strong in the market. I think that this probably heads under. Again, I really do buy into this Texans defense. I've been pretty consistent in that. It's just everything else I don't buy at all. And I will just say it until it I guess I don't even know. Like, we just talk about this team. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. The offense stinks. Mm-hmm. And so if C.J. Stroud's going to come out and get pressured and the offense is going to get stuck at neutral, but your defense is going to do its thing, why would you not come in here and look at this and go, yeah, like under 44 seems like a pretty fair play for Houston and Jacksonville?
The Houston Texans do have the highest under rate in the NFL dating back to the start of last season, 13-6 to the under. So that's been the name of the game for them in that time. Also, just in terms of Texans covering, I didn't realize how bad some of these numbers were, but there are a lot of stats, if you dive into them, like not good for the Texans, including on short rests since the start of last season. Short rest weeks has not been good. 0-4 covering the number.
Okay, yeah, I mean, look, I think, in the market, I think is coming a little bit more around on this, but especially dating back to last year, this is a team that was thought to be upper echelon, not elite, but true playoff contender type team. I'm being really vague with the way I'm labeling them, and then power rated as such. And so then when you get this offense that's not doing its part, you're not going to cover numbers very well. It's only 4 games. You know how I am with those. Like, all right, 4 games, we'll see. But there's at least something there in that in history, generally, short rest has always been a negative thing. And so for a team with a bad offense to then not react well to short rest, it would make some sense.
A couple other numbers from ESPN Stats and Information Group. The Jags have covered 4 of the last 5 meetings, including 3 straight with the Houston Texans. 5 of the last 6 have also gone under in this matchup. The Jags have covered 4 straight division games, 9-3 in the division since 2023, 5-1 against the number last season in division.
All right, wrapping up some business really quickly. I did just receive a text message. It is confirmed. Matt Humans does know that it is Cheeseburger Day, and in fact, he will be going, drum roll please, to get those 50-cent burgers at McDonald's.
Let's go. I'm for it. Do you go pickles or no pickles?
I just get them as they are. I like pickles, so.
I didn't used to. I always used to do no pickles, and now I've been getting them recently. I think it does. I got them on accident. I requested no pickles. The little Post-it note thing on top of them said no pickles. Then there was a pickle in it, and I was like, shoot, do I like pickles?
No,
but, it was good.
I get, like, full-on pickles, like in the full.
Oh, really?
Not even the spears, but, like, the full pickles.
Yeah, I've never been big on them personally, but maybe taste buds change over the years. We're migrating. Okay, we got to step aside. When we come back to the prop talk with Jeff Erickson, Rotowire Senior Editor. He's going to give the lowdown on his favorite plays for Thursday Night Football and beyond as Week 3 in the NFL is upon us. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Thursday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Thursday Night Football is upon us. Bills hosting the Miami Dolphins. Huge spread in this one. We'll see how it plays out. To talk through not only how the game script might go, but from a prop betting perspective, where are some of the angles, as well as we look ahead to the entire Week 3 Sunday and beyond card. Jeff Erickson joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Rotowire Senior Editor. You can follow him on X at Jeff_Erickson. Let's start with tonight, though, because this is the instant gratification that everybody can get. We all need to place bets and have them cash in later on today. And JVT and I already were talking about how much we are pro Devon Achane today. We were looking at it from a receiving angle. You like the rush yards. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I like the no Matt Milano in this game. I think is a big deal. I think that's one of the big stoppers of the run there for them. No Ed Oliver probably also helps in that respect, although I think that might help more in the passing game. But either way, the one thing I'm worried about is if they have a similar game flow from last week for the Bills and Jets, where it's just that the Buffalo murder death kills them. That would be the one thing that I'd worry about a little bit. But Achane's their offense right now. Everything runs through him. And whether it's the receptions, whether it's the receiving yards, it's the rushing, I want to get on the Achane side of things. I think it's the one way they keep this game close.
With games like this, Jeff, that are priced the way that this one is, right? Looks like it's going to be a lopsided game, double-digit spread. How much is that factored into props like I was bringing up Tua's pass attempt? Seems like a very piece of low-hanging fruit, which is, yeah, they're going to be trailing. He's probably going to be loading that up. Is that something you would generally stay away from because that's something the markets, I would assume, account for in a pretty large way?
You know, it's funny. They would account for it, but sometimes even with a big, big distance, big gap in the game, it doesn't work out the way it was. Look at last week. We'll go back to that Buffalo Jets game where Fields barely had the ball. Buffalo just controlled that game. The Jets barely had the ball. They had 3 and outs. Of course, there was the fumble right away on the scramble that hurt as well. It was a case there. They didn't hit any of their props because they just didn't have the ball, and Buffalo just squeezed the life out of that game.
Before we move on to the weekend, any other angles in this game, even if you didn't pull the trigger on a prop, but really thought about going into Thursday night?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of take a look at, on the Buffalo side of things there. I looked at James Cook and his rushing yards prop, and I think he'll probably get there. But the Buffalo has so many different ways to get there, and that's the thing that worries me. But, Ramondre Stevenson ran wild against Miami last week there. Jonathan Taylor looked really good, didn't get in the end zone against them, but, he looked good against them as well. I think that Cook is probably getting in line for a third good game.
All right, Bears and Cowboys, the stupid, simple question. I mean, how is this just not two teams just with dudes running all over the place, getting explosive plays and scoring a ton of points?
Absolutely. It's going to be a bonkers game. You look, injuries again playing a pretty big role here. Jalen Johnson with that groin injury for the Bears. They've barely had him this year. This is the second time. This looks like it could be long-term as well, and that's always tough. We saw the Cowboys without Deron Bland and what that looked like last week against the Giants, who I remind you are the Giants. When Russell Wilson can throw for over 400 yards and he only has like 2 throws that he really likes to make, it's pretty crazy that was working. Late in the game, the Cowboys go up 4 points. The Giants have to score a touchdown. The Cowboys went up with 52 seconds left. They hit that deep ball to Neighbors. How is that? How are the Cowboys not even parking somebody on the goal line, preventing that from happening? No, they hit on that. And it was just kind of one of those dumb games that was so enjoyable to watch. I think this is similar in that respect there. I think Trayvon Diggs probably gets picked on again. I like the over in this one a lot at 50.5. I think this will probably be a 55, 60-point game. Weather could always kick in or something like that in Chicago. That's always an issue. But, man, I really think there's no defense to be had in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I find it hard to believe either one of these teams is going to be able to get stops. And you mentioned how exciting last week was with the Cowboys and Giants. We left the studio on Sunday saying, who had Giants-Cowboys as like the game of the day? Yet there it was, and it was a ton of fun to watch. One player that you're looking at in this game as well, though, is somebody we were talking about a little while ago with Rome Odunze. I mentioned some of the numbers, the connection that he has had with Caleb Williams. Do you think that carries over in this game as well?
Yeah, I think it does. I think they have that connection together. They got drafted together. Remember how excited they were to be drafted together. It finally clicked a little bit there. And I just feel like that is, Odunze is in year 2. He's finding better ways to get open. Caleb's getting just a little bit more time to throw. Not always, but a little bit more time. And who do the Cowboys have to shift over? It's not like they can say, okay, we're going to put this shutdown corner on Odunze. We're going to put all sorts of pressure on Caleb because they traded away their best pass rusher. But, hey, they got an epic run stopper, so good for them.
All right, let's look at a couple of other matchups, specifically the NFC South. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bucky Irving. There's been some interesting stats about this team with the way they've been able to run the ball, but they've still been successful despite these injuries they've been suffering.
Yeah, but they're piling on even more. I know Bucky got the 71 rushing yards last week, but now we are down 3 offensive linemen unless Wirfs somehow plays in this game, which I don't think he does. But Cody Mauch is probably done for the season. Luke Gedeke, the right tackle, is out. Charlie Heck, we got a weird amount of focus on Charlie Heck in that Monday night game there on the nice receiving play there. But still, he's a guy that is just a journeyman tackle. They're trying to get through this. How often do you see a team move their center out to left tackle to cope with not having their left tackle? That's what the Bucs have been doing. And kudos to Graham Barton because he's been doing a great job. I think against the Jets, I understand the Jets aren't the best run defense, but I think it's going to be a little bit a struggle for Bucky Irving in this game to get going on the ground. I think he still gets there in passing yards and receiving yards, but I wouldn't want to bet his rushing props. I like the under on his rushing props.
On the Jets side of this thing, What do you make of Justin Fields obviously not available in this one? Tyrod Taylor we see stepping in. Is there a downgrade? Is it equal? Do you think Tyrod actually might be able to lead this offense a little bit better? How do you view it with them getting a touchdown in this game with all the injuries that we have heard about on the Bucs side?
Yeah, it's tough because, Tyrod Taylor's a better passer than Fields, at least a more accurate passer. I don't think he has the same arm strength, but he also isn't the runner that Fields is. And this offense is so predicated on all those rushing lanes opening up. You look at the receiving room for the Jets, and it's awful. It's just awful. When Josh Reynolds is your number 2 and him missing the game hurts the team, that speaks volumes about the job they did in the offseason there. I just don't understand how they didn't get at least a credible second wide receiver on this team. But maybe Taylor is better at finding those guys a little bit more. Maybe someone like Mason Taylor actually becomes a little bit more involved in the offense. The problem is, I just don't think, Breece Hall is going to find as many open lanes. I don't think the whole rushing attack is going to be a little worse. I like the under 44.5 in this game as well.
All right, how about some other? I want to throw an angle at you, see what you think about it. Coming into Sunday, Indianapolis Colts, Tennessee Titans. I keep thinking that this might be the best version of Cam Ward we see. He's played 2 very good defenses. I don't think that's going to be the case with this pretty thin secondary for Indianapolis. Any expectations for the rookie signal caller this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's another guy that needs receiving help. Ayo Manor looked good at times, so that's good. But Calvin Ridley has been one of the bigger disappointments for the season, both in terms of outputs and also just the drops, the miscommunication where to be on certain plays. I think Ward's shown some promise. The one thing I don't like about Ward so far is him taking some really killer sacks. Not just that they're sacks, but also pedaling backwards. Remember in the Denver game, Mims had that fumbled punt. And 2 sacks in a row happened after that. And lost almost 25 yards on those 2 plays. Now, I was on Denver for Survivor and Circa at the time, so I was sweating this one desperately. And so I needed those 2 sacks. But at the same time, that's the one thing that I was worried. I'm worried about that in the short term. There's a little bit of Caleb Williams in there as far as that goes, trying to make the big play. I think they'll work that out in the long term, but it might be tough in the short term.
Before we let you go, since you mentioned Survivor, who are you angling for this week?
This is the first time in 4 years I've taken a Thursday night team in Survivor. I'm going Buffalo tonight. They don't play on Thanksgiving. They don't play on Christmas. I think a lot of people are saving them for next week against New Orleans. So I don't think they'll be heavily used. I think a bunch of people are going to be on Seattle. So I'll go ahead and take it. I think there's no such thing as a sure thing in Survivor, but man, I'd be stunned if Buffalo loses this game.
We are like-minded. We pressed the submit button on Buffalo today as well. So we will be sweating this thing out together, Jeff. Appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Jeff Erickson, Rotowire Senior Editor at Jeff_Erickson on X. Also, make sure you check out Rotowire Fantasy Sports today on SiriusXM 87. Does a great job over there as well.
I'm not coming to work tomorrow if the Bills don't win this game. I'll tell you that much right now.
You can't blame me, though.
It was team effort. I mean, you pushed the button ultimately that sealed our fate.
You pushed the team. I could have slipped and fallen on the phone, and it would have submitted the Bills because of what you set up in the app. For the record,
I think you had to press it twice.
I did.
Really,
right.
yeah, really quick.
Submit. Are you sure? Yeah.
I mentioned WNBA awards. We did get one today. Just worth mentioning. We have co-defensive player of the years. So I thought that was worth talking about only because is this, I would assume, obviously, house rules, check out what it is, but maybe a dead heat when you have 2 award winners like that, but not sure if there are house rules in place. But Asia Wilson ties with Alana Smith from the Minnesota Lynx, 29 votes each, so you have co-defensive player of the years.
Do you say this to speak into existence the possibility of getting co-MVPs?
Ooh, that would be interesting.
I thought, honestly, that's where you were angling to.
Actually, no, I didn't. I just thought the payout thing was going to be pretty interesting. But that point, that's pretty fascinating as well.
First time in WNBA history, can we make it dose with a pair of awards?
A co award.
We've got to take a quick timeout. When we come back, best bets of the day. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we're wrapping up this Thursday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Wherever you're watching or listening, we appreciate it. YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, any of our local affiliates out there. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. I got to tell you, I was this close to saying he's Stormy Buonantony. Didn't do it, though.
You are taking the day off tomorrow, so I think you got that vacation vibe going.
Again, you keep saying day off. It's not fully off. I'm still going to join you. Come say hello. Give out a couple bets that I have going into the weekend.
Live exchange. Hey, we'd like to have you on at this time. Well, I've got lunch plans, so maybe if we could move that around.
Will you stop it? I just said preferably first hour. Just and I've already been told it's set. I'll be joining the program tomorrow at 11:15 Pacific, 2:15 Eastern. Get excited.
I'm ready, or I will be ready.
But while we have best bets that we'll give out tomorrow, we've got some best bets to give out today as well. A lot on Thursday Night Football, and some stuff already in pocket for the weekend. But let's start with tonight as we do our best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. As always, remember GBank is built with sports bettors in mind. Right now, you can earn $50 in cashback rewards once you're approved and your account is open with the GBank Visa Signature Card. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when it's your own money. GBank treats them as regular purchases. That means no cash advance fees, saves you 3 to 5% on every deposit. Plus, you get 1% cash back on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions, 2% cash back on everything else you buy. vsin.com/gbank is how you can apply or learn more information. That's vsin.com/gbank. Where do you want to go first here?
Well, might as well start with tonight. Thursday Night Football, Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. We've hit this a couple of times. Just say quickly, Devon Achane over 5.5 receptions for me at minus 115. You can find that at a couple of different places. Minus 118 is what I got to think. But look, we've talked about the game script. We've talked about everything. Milano not being out. Thought that Jeff, when he was with us earlier, Jeff Erickson from Rotowire, had a great point. He is their offense, as I pointed out when we talked about this earlier, leads the team in targets right now. If they're trailing in terms of game script, I think it helps me out here. So over 5.5 receptions for Achane.
I'm going yards, and while I see the prevailing number right now,
and
42
receiving yards specifically, correct?
Receiving yards, yes.
Okay.
The prevailing number is 42.5. There is a 39.5 available nationally, though, at FanDuel, I believe. So go check that out. I just think, as you pointed out, he is such a key component of their offense. The absences that we have on Buffalo's defense. And then looking specifically at the catch numbers for him against Miami and here to start the season, last two games against Miami, at home, 7 catches on 7 targets for 69 yards and a touchdown. At home, 8 catches on 8 targets. So that supports your receptions number anyways for 58 yards and a touchdown. So double-digit targets last week in the receiving game for 92 yards. I feel like we get there again. So hopefully one of the three of us that has Devon Achane props ultimately get home. I love that we have them all in different angles. We've got all of the bases covered. Also, anytime touchdowns available, anywhere between plus 110 and plus 125, which I think is entirely likely and plausible for Achane to get in the end zone here as well. I also looked to James Cook receiving yards. 12.5 is this number, a low number for a Miami defense that struggles against pass-catching running backs. We gave out the numbers earlier about the damage that Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson did last week. Jonathan Taylor as well, 3 catches for 27 yards that week. So every running back that has faced Miami to this point has gone well over this number, double digits plus over this number. And I think this is a weakness in the Miami defense that schematically Buffalo's going to try to exploit here. Cook only had 1 catch last week, but the Bills' game plan was so different. It was so formulated around the ground game and what he was able to do from a ground and pound perspective. I think this week that shifts, and you look at what he had week 1 against the Ravens, 5 catches for 58. He's also gone over this number the last 4 instances against Miami.
Like it. Sounds good. What else you got?
I do have more Thursday night football. So let me just get out these last two. I'm on the Bills in the first quarter. We talked about this earlier this week. Buffalo having the top offense in the league through 2 games in terms of total yards, how balanced they are, and it starts early with them. Great opening game scripts from Buffalo. So I wouldn't hate looking at first touchdown scorers on the Bills as well. Scored touchdowns in each of their opening drives so far, first against the Ravens, then against the Jets. They've had first quarter leads that have covered this number in both, taking on a Miami defense that's allowed the second most points of anybody to this point and have given up points early against both of their opponents. And then I'm also on the Bills team total over 30.5 for a lot of the reasons that I've already laid out. But they've gone over their team total at home 10 of their last 11 games at Orchard Park, averaging just around 34 points per game. Against Miami at home specifically, last 8 averaging 37.3 points per game. A defense, too, that has given up 33 to the Colts and Patriots to open the season, made Daniel Jones and Drake May look awesome. What's what's Josh Allen going to do?
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's all my Thursday. We got
Thursday.
I did some damage today, so hopefully Thursday night doesn't go poorly for me. Very Bills heavy, and we're on Survivor for Buffalo, so Lord help us.
You mentioned your 49ers minus 2.5, and then your Utah play as well, correct? Because this is your last day, so
I'll be back on tomorrow, so I can dole some of those out. I mentioned these earlier in the show. I added the 49ers minus 2.5 to the account, and Texas Tech. This graphic is wrong. It's not the team total. It is Utah, Texas Tech game first half total under 29.5.
Oh, regular Matt Humans there. Okay.
No. Sorry. I just realized because that's my own fault. I was reading the graphic for my bet, and I was like, that's not what my bet is.
All right. For me, we talked about Achane. For the entirety of the card that I have so far entered for this week, we've talked about the Patriots +1. I have that. The two teasers. Seahawks, the strong leg there for both of them, then teasing up the Patriots, teasing up the Texans. Titans +4, also the addition. I'm going to take the dive here. Again, just kind of playing on my thought. We talked about this, about what I believe about this Titans team and where they're at and where this number is for Indianapolis. Feel like it's quite a bit. Devon Achane, we talked about that. Vikings -3, the addition for the NFL as well. If you're watching at BaVeasan.com, you see the two additions we talked about yesterday, or the three, excuse me. Georgia Tech to make the CFP, Miami to win the national championship, Chargers to win the AFC. Those are three futures. And one I did add while we were talking as well, as we kind of talked a few of these. We didn't talk a ton about this game, but it's worth mentioning. A little gun shy as I am 4 games down in college and not doing well at all. But we'll give it a shot. Michigan State +18.5 in the late kick against USC. We hit on the injury in the secondary for USC yesterday. In fact, one of their corners is down. They've been pretty beat up there. Tend to give up some explosives. I think Michigan State's got enough. I know it's the late body clock start, but I think they're going to have enough here to generate some offense and stay inside of a really big number for USC going back home to take on the Spartans.
Also, real quickly, as I'm looking at this, I can very easily see how that would have been misconstrued as team total because it's TT-Utah. So Texas Tech, but
so it's your fault.
Looks like team total. So apologies, guys. I'll make sure that I make that more clear next time. I like that play, though, Michigan State.
It feels like I call them the play of principle, but I've seen this USC defense. We talked about the explosives they were giving up at the games going into Purdue. They did allow some against Purdue as well. And I think that Michigan State, with the way they've been playing, if we get some positive injury news, which it seems like it's going to be the case at the wide receiver spot with the thin secondary. And here's the thing, too. This might be considered a buy low spot for Michigan State. Going on the road, haven't covered a game yet. I think you could probably talk yourself into, all right, 18.5, that seems a little strong. Some 17.5s are appearing. So I would think that if it moves in a direction, it would probably move in Michigan State's favor.
I wanted to ask you on the way out here, before I made Cal -12 official, if you think that this is the best number we're going to get. I know it is, but I'm looking at a handful of books where we're seeing more of the 12.5s come back. Superbook here in Vegas is back at 13. ESPN Bet has 13.5. So do you think that 12 is probably the best we're going to get as we get closer to Sunday, that this will continue to tick up?
Yeah, I'd venture it probably gets to like 13-ish, 13.5.
So then just punch in the 12 now while they're still here?
Yeah, I mean, because you're saying like to Cal, right? Yeah, so I would say
Cal. You're getting 12 here at Circa right now.
I think that they're the side that gets bet. I don't think it gets up to 14. So if you like San Diego State, you can hold that for the best of the number. I don't think you're getting the full 14, but I would assume we see this close about 13 by the time we get to kickoff Saturday night.
I think 12 is about right, and the Cal will get the job done. I just have no faith in my Aztecs in this spot.
This is, I think, one of the more intriguing games of the weekend. I know it doesn't sound that great, but these big role reversals for these teams like this,
I get it.
They're such an interesting spot. And San Diego State getting the week off, getting the time to get ready for Jaren Kiave, Sangapulatele, and this Cal offense. I am fascinated by how this is going to go.
I'm telling you, it's the real deal. Okay, last 60 seconds as we're on our way out. We got to make our first touchdown picks. I'm rolling with Dalton Kincaid. I like it.
Well, I thought we picked 2.
We can't. Okay, yeah. So
you made me pick 2 last time.
Buffalo is my Dalton Kincaid pick. Should Miami get on the board? But I'll let you. Let you.
Give me Achane for,
because that's where I was going to go. So I know I had to give it to you. We go snake style. Yeah. You get to pick again. Snake draft.
Is that okay? All right, and then give me. Let's go. Give me Josh Allen.
Jalen Waddle. Okay.
There we go. We will totally hold ourselves to this.
Rock and roll. I'm here for it. It's gonna be fun. I think the Dalton Kincaid one is legit. Maybe not first touchdown, but plus 280 for an anytime score. I think some of his props are very reasonable today. Miami's not great against the tight end position. At least they haven't been so far to this point. And Kincaid's getting targeted like a mother. Okay, we got
3 bits of business in the last 20 seconds.
Go.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Download the Futures Pod, please. Pod to the Futures, myself and Mitch Moss. And download, rate, review, and subscribe Money Moves as well.
Absolutely, yes, and I will still be on the air tomorrow, but making the trip to Boulder late tonight. That's a wrap for us today. Appreciate it. Speaking of Mitch Moss, he and Paulie Howard are coming up right after this. Follow the Money is next.